investigate. But no, the file was closed and we were left with our arms crossed. Law 21,500, enacted more than 2 years ago, is still not in force. The first 24 hours are key in the search for a missing person, but justice, especially for the poorest, does not seem to exist even with confessed criminals.
He confessed how he had murdered my brother and said that we were never going to find him again. And then he brags because the judges let him go free. That's our Chile.
We thought that this was going to change. However, today we see that there are hundreds of cases. Many of their cases are present here, when the law was already operative. However, the institutions that in theory should be in charge of the investigations do not apply the law.
Llegaron desde distintos puntos del país para exponer sus casos.
They came from different parts of the country to present their cases, many of them forgotten in court, while they endure the pain of uncertainty and invest their few resources in searching for their loved ones, like Fermin, an elderly man who arrived from Peru in a wheelchair and disappeared there at the airport.
Until today, I have no answer. I'm going to continue as far as God wants me to go. Hopefully this will help other people.
People marched to the National Prosecutor's Office and the Presidential Palace to leave a new letter demanding compliance with the law on missing persons.
We want justice for all the disappeared. In the South, many things are happening. Many people are disappearing, and there are no answers for the relatives.
Chileans disappear under the ground. But we do manage to find vehicles, we do manage to find cars that get lost, but we don't manage to find people. That's why we go to the prosecutor's office, to ask them to find them. Thank you very much for being here.
The letters give hope to the families, who are increasingly organized to demand that the state comply with the law.
Yes, gentlemen, I am even willing to file a lawsuit against the state for non-compliance with the law, for Julia, and for all of us. Let's go ahead and not give up.
There is also the family of Julia Chunil, the Mapuche leader who disappeared 4 months ago after being threatened by landowners who covet the forest she protected.
We support this whole movement because we do not want my mother to be one more disappeared person in Chile. So, we asked the prosecutors to open the investigative file on the investigation that is being carried out for my mother's case. We want them to listen to us, the pain we have in our hearts for our relatives, for my mother who is missing. Listen to us, Mr. President Gabriel Boric.
Will he listen? We'll have to see.
Carolina Sandoval y Paola Dragnik, teleSUR, Chile.
The Colombian government at the dialogue table with the ELN insurgency proposes a National Peace Congress, convening different sectors, human rights and social organizations, and the international community, with the objective of jointly debating the guidelines for negotiation with the armed groups as a collective effort.
This is a space in which we want to participate in broad sectors of civil society, organizations, networks, platforms, social movements, institutions, political,
movimientos sociales, instituciones, sectores políticos, económicos, sociales que
economic and social sectors that are very concerned about peace in the country due to the crisis and the implementation of the 2016 peace agreement.
En materia de implementación del acuerdo de paz de 2016. Por la situación también crítica que viven
the critical situation that the dialogue tables are experiencing, the situation in many territories where the clashes of armed groups are causing serious damage to the civilian population.
Pues le causan un gravísimo daño a la población civil en particular.
It should be recalled that the peace talks with the ELN are broken after an incursion of this group in the Catatumbo region and confrontations with the dissidents of the former FARC that left several dead and displaced people, a scenario of violence that is being experienced in different regions of the country, including the paramilitary presence, for territorial control and income from illegal economies. In this context, the initiative was welcomed by some peasant organizations.
que tiene que retomar los esfuerzos.
Efforts must be resumed for the implementation of the final peace agreement signed in 2016,
Y que realmente se generen las garantías para
and that guarantees are really generated for the reincorporation of the signatories with guarantees of security of life and permanence in the territories, and that this implementation can be given. Secondly, that the dialogues with the ELN can be resumed.
Segundo, de que se puedan retomar los diálogos con el Ejército de Liberación Nacional y que
And that there really is also a willingness of the counterpart to move forward precisely in the construction of peace for our country.
En la construcción de paz para nuestro país.
This cyclical conflict continues to claim the lives of social leaders and peace signatories, 48 of whom have been assassinated so far this year, in addition to the historic dispossession of land and inequality. For this reason, social organizations must insist on dialogue to overcome violence and social injustice, a demand they send to both the executive and the ELN.
Es una iniciativa necesaria, importante.
It is a necessary and important initiative because there is no other choice, both for civil society and for a government inclined to peace.
En vías y soluciones dialógicas negociadas.
It is necessary to insist on negotiated dialogical ways and solutions to end the war and make a peace pact from a vision of complete peace, particularly with the ELN. However, what is really required is political will.
Sin embargo, lo que realmente se requiere es voluntad política.
This initiative is scheduled to materialize on April 5th and will take place in the Colombian capital.
Hernán Darío Tobar Gaitán, teleSUR, Bogotá, Colombia.
Punto neurálgico en Santiago de Chile.
A neuralgic point in Santiago de Chile, the Palacio de la Moneda. Tourists stroll around and look curiously at the posters. They are the disappeared, about 1,600, but not those of the dictatorship, but those of democracy in strange circumstances, forgotten by those who should be looking for them, the justice system and the police.
The case was